Yo guys, what's going on? It's Max, and in today's video, I wanted to actually kind of talk about a PTB that happened in the past that I was I was pretty interested in the changes, and they didn't get pushed to the live server. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about in particular, I wanted to kind of revisit that whole anti-slugging endgame mori system that they had for the PTB. Um, because admittedly, I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. I do think there was a little bit of a flawed state with that PTB, most notably with how quickly you could wrap up a game by getting all 4 downs. You saw killers like Nurse and Huntress being able to wrap up games in a flash, whereas other killers just might have struggled to secure it, and the Basekit Unbreakable was not pushed to live. And I wanted to get your guys' opinions on if you liked or didn't like the changes, because admittedly, I think that I was a big fan of Basekit Unbreakable, even if it took like a minute to do. Because if you're slugged on the ground for a minute, it's not a fun game for the survivor. Granted, it's a viable strategy for killer. And once again, if we want to look really in terms of balance, like the game is survivor sided, so kind of giving survivors the buff of quote unquote Basekit Unbreakable is probably not a good thing. In terms of the actual like rates for sacrifices and whatnot. But I thought that it was kind of an interesting point to like go back and reconsider and really just discuss, like, is it okay for them to balance for the sake of player satisfaction and health? And I think that is a very important metric and like piece of information to consider when balancing. Most notably, at least the way I see it, like I've been in situations where I've been slugged by another killer trying to secure a 4K. I don't run Unbreakable, so it feels pretty boring. Granted, Unbreakable is strong because of its natural existence to possibly prevent slugging, right? I've talked about this in a few other instances, but like at least prior to the Dead Hard rework, I think this video is going to release after the PTB testing. Like prior to the rework, you saw Dead Hard was extremely strong. Even if people didn't run it, it made killers hesitate to go for a swing. Now with obviously the rework, you can kind of predict, okay, if they haven't gone for the unhook yet, just slap them. But I think in a very similar sense, you have that argument for Unbreakable, where Unbreakable is super strong because even if the survivors aren't running it, you have to assume that they might pick themselves up, and that can totally change the flow of the game. I'm not exactly sure if that really is a full argument, because I mean, there's also like Deliverance, which I think is a very strong perk, but it's like people don't play around a Deliverance by like camping the hook, to make sure he doesn't just Kobe and become broken. And so this is going to be a shorter video. You could tell by the gameplay, since I usually leave the gameplay as the length of the video. We're wrapping this one up pretty quick, but I wanted to know what you guys thought. Did you think a Basekit Unbreakable, even if it took a lot longer, would be beneficial to the game, similar to how they made a Basekit weaker borrowed time, mostly for player health? I personally think it probably would be a good change, mostly because at least for me, I feel like a lot of people don't like getting slugged. That might just be me personally. I don't like being slugged. As killer, if I can secure a 3K, I always just go to a hatch standoff. If you find the hatch, good job, I got my 3K. If they didn't find the hatch, I'll just close it, and then either I'll get a 4K or I'll let them out. Depends on the games go. This one, as I say that, you'll see the Michaela, I give her the exit gate because she was a sport for sticking around. But yeah, I think Basekit Unbreakable genuinely is a healthy change for the game, and I am a big fan of the game being healthy. I promise I let her out. Stop. I'm not being mean. I promise. And yeah, I don't know. I know I'm kind of repeating myself over and over again. I just couldn't see why they couldn't isolate that from the whole endgame early Mori system, because I do think that was the glaring problem in that PTB, where you would have a nurse that could, like, you know, if you're running maybe like knockout and you make it harder for them to recover, now all of a sudden it's taking minutes for them, not even minutes, but it takes a good chunk of time to fully recover, and you might be able to close the game out pretty quickly. Especially, it's not like, you know, the early Slug 4, but it was maybe get the first hook on somebody, you might be able to proxy that first hook, secure it down, and now the game is going to delay so much where you have two people already under control. The survivors kind of need to do something about it, and at that point you might be able to just wrap up the game really quick. I think Joshua Way, you were the one that kind of proposed the video idea, or just wanted me to go back over it, and genuinely I love the change for Basekit Unbreakable. I think it promoted a overall better player experience for survivors. It does take away aspect of killer. However, killer's win condition, like I said, I'm pretty strongly stanced. I don't think the killer's win con should just be strictly number of sacrifices in a game, because it's not a good metric to show, you know, just obviously if you're able to basement Bubba and everyone runs in to be altruistic and you get a 4K, in my opinion, that does not show you are a higher ranked player compared to, you know, some higher up survivors. But MMR in the game is messed up. I don't want to keep using it as an argument. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. This is, like I said, this is going to be a shorter video, but I just thought it would be something interesting to talk about. And yeah, take care, everyone. Maybe this will upload Friday. So if it does, have a wonderful weekend, and take it easy. Peace.